Hello, today we're going to take a look at how to input grades into MISTAR. So the first thing we want to do, we can come up here to our school bookmarks, click on that, and we're going to scroll down to MISTAR. Okay, now keep in mind that if it's the first time that you're logging into MISTAR for the day, they do use the two-factor authentication now, where you're going to get a code sent to your email. It's a 6-digit code, and you'll have to enter that. I've already logged in today, this morning, so I won't have to do that, but just as a reminder. So I'm going to click here on MISTAR Q. And our new window will open up. Now it should autofill with your username, or I'm sorry, with your name and password. Username is not needed. We don't input anything there. Your user ID, though, is going to be your last name, comma, space, your first name. Password, well, it should have been sent to you in an email by the very first time that you've used MISTAR. Most of you have probably been into it for attendance or that now, so it will just autofill. It will remember your name and your password. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and click login here. And remember, you would get that two-factor authentication. Now, I realize that yours is going to look different than mine. Yours is only going to have the school that you're at. Because I'm a tech coach and I work in all the buildings, I have access to all of them. So I'm just going to pick Kosciuszko, though, as I've said before and told you guys in the past. That's where I taught at for um, many years. And so Miss Pepchek was kind enough to let me access her account because of the fact that I don't have students in that. I wouldn't have a class to really show you or that. So real quick, you are not going to have to do what I'm doing right now. This is just so that I'm going to switch users and impersonate Miss Pepchek at this time, because she has an account that will look much like yours. Okay, so again, you don't have to do any of that, but I just want to switch over to a view that's going to be something like what you would see. All right, so this year you really don't have to pay much attention as of right now to this engagement for record by teacher. It's that was something that they used last year when in the virtual setting. So, okay, we're going to click here on menu, and we are going to scroll down here to marks. Now, I want to point out something here that a lot of people don't realize or kind of understand. We've got here class marks and gradebook. Class marks and gradebook are not the same thing. They're two separate entities, really. Gradebook, think of gradebook as that's your tool that you're going to use to keep track of all of your students' progress. Okay. Class marks, the only time that you need to go into class marks is prior to when you're posting your progress report grades and your report card grades, okay? But the reason I want to point out that these are separate is grade book does not grade your students, okay? You are the teacher. You give your students the grade. Gradebook just simply tallies all that, and it can be a very useful tool. I'm not saying don't use it. And for the most part, the grade that it calculates is probably going to be the grade that you feel the student has earned. However, it is not the end all. It doesn't determine what the kid's grade is. You do as the teacher. So you have the ability to go into class marks. And I guess the example that I've used with some teachers is, let's say that a student ends up at 89.9%. Well, according to gradebook, they're going to be given a B plus. But if you know that this student really started out struggling in the year, and boy, they've really just been, working their butt off and doing really good, and boy, you just love to see them get that A minus. their grade doesn't have to be the B plus that grade book. Just because grade book assigns it to them, you are the teacher. You have the ability to go in and override any grades from grade book. Okay, so please don't think that, geez, I really feel bad for that kid. He had an 89.9. Well, then you have the ability to change it. You are the teacher. All right. So, anyways, we are going to go into gradebook right now. As I said, class marks, that would be only the only times you're going to do that is progress report and report card. Reports is really cool, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit. That's a way that you could generate some rosters for your class, and there's a lot of different ones. There's really only two that I've ever used in the past. So, unless if you wanted to generate a report from a previous marking period just to have for your records of that, you can do that as well. But right now we're going to focus though on gradebook. So let's go ahead and we're going to click gradebook. And we should get a window here that shows the classes that you teach each hour. If you're elementary, you may just have one. If you're high school, middle school, you're going to have five, possibly six. I don't think we have anybody doing 6 hours right now, an extra period. But either way, this will show all of your classes. Okay, so we're going to click on Miss Pepchek's first hour algebra class. Okay, so we select that class and you see that it pulls up her current grades for all of her kids. What we'd want to do, there's multiple ways that we can create a new assignment to input in here. One way that you could do it is click Add Task right here. You could also come over here to your By Task, and then it shows your task, and then you could click Add Task. This is all the assignments so far for this year that Ms. Pepchek has input grades for. So like I said, either way you can, it doesn't matter. You're going to get the same results. So we'll go ahead and we click on that. You'll notice if you teach multiple classes, if you're lucky enough to teach 5 hours of the same subject and you know that all your classes did that assignment, you could simply check right here and it auto checks all of these for you. So now it's going to make this assignment for all of your classes, okay? So you don't have to go through each hour and, and do the same thing 5 times or 3 times, however many hours you teach that section. All right. Or you could just manually, if you had, like in Miss Pepchek's case here, her second and third hour are the same, so she could just check those two. Okay, so whatever you classes you want this to be applied to, you can select that. And again, the one at the top will just auto check all of them for you. All right, so let's take a look over here and see what we have here. We've got the date that the assignment was assigned on. Now, for the most part, that's not really important, but if you want your records to reflect, to be pretty accurate, I suggest putting the date that you did assign it, because what that will do then is, and I'll show you in a little bit, if a student is absent, it's going to show you when you go into the spreadsheet or that the student was absent on that day, where sometimes, like when I first started using MISTAR, I didn't change it. I just left it as, the date that I was inputting it, because and I feel it was real important. And remember, back then we didn't have Parent Connect or Student Connect, so I was the only one that was really seeing the grade book, so it didn't matter. But and then I would say, things have changed a bit now, so you should try to do it. The other big thing, the big issue that we have with choosing the correct date that it was assigned on, let's say that it is the end of the first marking period, and the semester ended on Friday, but your grades aren't due until Monday at midnight. If Monday you come in and you're going to put in your last assignment or your last couple of assignments, and you don't change this date and it goes in as Monday's date, those assignments are not going to show up on the previous marking period. They're going to become assignments for the new marking period. So a lot of times teachers, in the last minute rush will try to get grades in that. And if they don't change it, then they say, well, geez, where did my grades go? I input them. That's what happened. Okay. So make sure if it's towards the end of progress report or end of report card that you're going to change that date to the date, a date from the previous week or that. All right, display on. Again, because we have Parent Connect and Student Connect, some teachers like to input, put their tasks in way ahead of time, just to get stuff done when they're in gradebook. They like to do a lot of stuff ahead of time in that, try and save time in the future in that. Um, that is fine. But if you don't change the display on date, those assignments are going to show up, but they're going to be blank. And what I have found is that sometimes the kids or parents are going to be confused and not realize that you have an assignment, and then they think that their child has a missing assignment, or the student will say, "Well, we haven't done that assignment yet," or whatever, And so it's good to if you want, you can change the display date if you're going to enter stuff ahead of time, so that it won't show in there and that you might eliminate some confusion. All right, next, the due on date. Again, if you just want to keep stuff, your records accurate, and that you can put the date that it was due on if you're putting stuff in ahead of time. If not, if you're just doing an assignment like for today and you just want to get the grades in, it really doesn't matter. Now, people often ask, why is there a title and a short title? So the title, you should give it the full, if this were, let's say, lesson 3, chapter 2, um, homework or whatever, that is it's not extremely long, but it's not going to show up when we go up here to spreadsheet. It's a very small space that you have. That's where the short title comes in handy. So in here, by default, if you click on it, it's going to autofill with what you'd had. But you might just want to call this L3 uh, chapter 2 homework. Okay, that way though, this is going to be really easy. It's more or less a code for you, but when you're in the spreadsheet, you're going to see the whole thing, and it's not just going to be cut off. And so makes things a little easier. That's the reason for that. Okay, category. When you had set up that gentleman, if you watched the other video with the guy from Oakland County. Um, he had already gone over with you a little bit about the setting up your different categories and that would be in your setup. But you want to check what category it is, especially if you weighted your categories and you had tests worth more than homework or that. So you're going to want to check click on the appropriate assignment so that it can be weighted correctly. Then we have our points possible. You must enter something in that. And then again, you have the ability here to change the weight of the assignment if you wanted. Um, and then assignment graded, I don't check that until after I'm done, because if you did, again, that's going to throw everything in calculations off. So I typically don't do that until after I've input the grades. Hidden, if for some reason you want to keep it hidden, the assignment, you can, or you can denote that it was extra credit. All right. Instructions, that's simply for you if you want to put in, a reminder of what it was that you did, or why you chose to grade this assignment the way that you did. You can. Teacher notes, same thing. Documents, you can upload an actual copy of the assignment if you wanted. You just simply click here, and then you're going to choose the file from your computer. That. It's just there if you'd like to. So that's basically it. And then when you are done, you would come up here and you're going to click submit. Okay. I don't want to, before you click submit, though, double check and make sure that you've, um, uh, you know, created it for all the classes that you want it to be created for. So um, that's really going to be about it. When your thing comes up, it's going to look something like this, okay, after you've created the assignment. And then you just simply go through here and click, whatever their score is. A neat little trick. Let's say that you did a fairly easy assignment, and the vast majority of the kids, just like in Miss Pepcheck's assignment here, they all received tens. You don't have to go through and type 10 in each one. You could come up here and, oh, I don't want to do that, but if you clicked on this, it should show the uh, the various grades that could be given. If you click on it, then you could, oh, I'm sorry, if I put a 10 in here, then I could go through and autofill all of those grades. It's not letting me do it because she's already entered the grades and submitted and assigned, but that's what would happen had I created a new assignment. Okay. Here, if you want, you can go in and count as absent, excuse, whatever. Again, that's just kind of an optional thing. You have that drop down where you can autofill all of the empty ones as well. You could do comments, and you have that option to autofill all of them as well. Um, then the big thing after you've entered all their grades, you want to make sure, and because Miss Pepcheck has already submitted and posted these grades, the checkbox is done. But this normally won't be checked. Well, it won't be if you've just created the assignment and input the grades. So if you want it to show up and be calculated as part of their grade, check that. Okay, you do the checkbox. All right, so let's just talk a little bit real quick here about some of these tabs up here. This is probably my favorite one. This is one of the most useful things in here is your spreadsheet. So if we go on here, we can look now for her first hour. This shows all of the assignments. The other really helpful thing why, especially before printing progress reports or posting grades to progress reports or report cards, I would always go back into my spreadsheet and just check and make sure. The one thing you want to look for, that these little circle dots up here are green. If you hadn't checked that little assignment graded box in the previous window, these would be red. Okay, so then you can know sometimes if we do forget that assignment, all the grades are in, but if this dot is red, that is not going to be calculated into their current grade. Gradebook is not going to use that grade to calculate their grade. So this is just a real quick way to check and make sure that all of you've uh, you know, all the assignments have been posted and are being included in their grade. Okay. Another neat thing in Spreadsheet is you have the ability to go in and add grades. Now, if you see something like this, with these two gray bars like that. What that's telling us is that this particular student was not part of this class for those first assignments, okay? He did not start class until 9/27, so these won't be calculated as part of his grade. Another thing that you may see is like the pink ones right here, okay? That would indicate that the student was absent on that day. Now, apparently, this student was absent, but Miss Pepcheck went in and graded his assignment. So it's still going to show up in there. But if you're seeing any that are blank and pink, that's, going to be an indication that that student was not there that day. But I love the spreadsheet. It's pretty cool. Roster just is going to show your current status of the class, what their grades are at this time. Um, you can also do it by student, okay, and click on a particular student and it would show you. I'm not going to because it's just going to be more stuff that I have to try and blur out then after. So just trying to keep it as simple, but that's all it would do. And then again, we said by task. This shows all of your assignments. You can click on any one of them individually to see, and it'll pull back up just like it did before. So Calc Post, that's where, and I'm going to make a separate video for this. So Calc Post is where you'd go to post the grades when it is progress report or report card time. And set up again, this is what I had said, the gentleman from Oakland County, the video that I had sent out before, this is what it shows. He showed how to do the setup. We're not going to get into all of that, but all right. So hopefully that will help you out as far as inputting grades. If you have any questions or that, or get stuck on anything, feel free to reach out to me. We can set something up. So, all right. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.